Hi everyone. Oh, whoops. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Christine. I'm a fourth year and I'm a double major in psychology and political science. It is nice to be here today.
Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and I'm a fourth year double major in data science and quantitative economics. Welcome to our event.
Hello everyone, my name is Karen and I'm a fourth year psychology major.
Hello, my name is Christy. I'm a third year doubling in social policy and public service and education. Thank you all for coming.
Hi everyone, my name is Marimar. I am a fifth year double major in international studies and public health policy. Welcome to our event.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia. I'm a third year double major in economics and data science. Welcome to the session.
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm a third year majoring in business economics and minoring in art history.
And I'm Waylon and I'm a fourth year psychology major. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so that was all of our PAAs. Thank you for introducing yourselves. Now I will hand it over to Krista from SSARC.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Sorensen and I'm the director of the Social Sciences Academic Resource Center, also known as SSARC. If you've never heard of us or maybe never used our services before, I hope you will do after this session. What we do at SSARC is not only help students in applying to graduate school, such as law school, but we also assist students in applying for internships or even full-time positions, as well as finding research opportunities or leadership opportunities on campus. So we certainly do a lot of different things and hope that you will find SSARC useful in your personal and professional future endeavors. But today for this part, I'm going to talk a little bit more about our graduate school services that we have available and the various resources that are located on our website. So know that at SSARC, we do have actual student interns, which are known as peer consultants. So these are peers such as you who've kind of had many different experiences and are very knowledgeable in talking about all those things that I previously mentioned, graduate school research internships. And so you're more than welcome to make an appointment with one of our peer consultants. We also have graduate student advisors. So these are current PhD students in the School of Social Sciences that advise students specifically about graduate school, as well as research. They can look over your personal statements or statement of purpose and are happy to just provide any advice or tips kind of going through that process. So know that you have plenty of help and resources available to you. And I can show you right now how you can make a consultation with them and a few of the resources that are located on our website. I will also put the website link in the chat as well, so hopefully you can bookmark it for later. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so hopefully everybody can see this. This is our website, Social Sciences Academic Resource Center. If you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you'll be able to schedule an appointment. This will take you to the appointment system. You've probably used the system before to get some other appointments across campus, and then you can easily schedule an appointment most convenient to you. We are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Throughout the week, Monday through Friday. So hopefully you can kind of check us out during those times. So in terms of the various services, not only consultations, but we also have some really great resources on our website. So if you go under the resources tab, we actually have a graduate school, somewhat of a timeline, you can say. So if you scroll down here, we definitely break down the graduate school application process. So whether you are applying to law school or maybe you end up applying to something else, this graduate school timeline is going to be very, very helpful for you if you don't have a timeline in place. You can also even download our checklist as well. But we kind of break it down in terms of things that you should be doing during the summer. And we have some really great links on here as well that we encourage you to check out. And then, of course, all the things that you need to be doing fall and then winter of your graduation year. I know a lot of students have questions about letters of recommendation. So we've also broke down kind of that process as well. So on here, you can also find a letter recommendation timeline. as well as, what is included or what you need to provide to your recommenders and the materials that should be included in it. So our peer consultants have worked really hard on this. And then, of course, recommendation letter etiquette. So what do you need to write? How do you request a letter recommendation? And then you can go ahead and kind of check that out as well. Also at SSARC, we work very closely with Princeton Review. Maybe you've heard of the Princeton Review before. They are a test prep company. Since we work so closely with them, we actually are able to provide students 15% off any test prep course. So I will go ahead and also put that code for you in the chat in case you are interested in taking a course, LSAT preparation course with Princeton Review as well. And if we were in person, I would invite you to come out to the Social Sciences Academic Resource Center. We do have a physical space on campus in the Social and Behavioral Sciences Gateway building, really close to the Academic Advising Office. Typically when we're in person, we also rented out test prep books for free. And so hopefully when we get back, you'll be able to utilize those services when we hopefully get back to in person at some point in time in the fall. But that is kind of an overview in regarding to some of the resources that we have. SSARC, we also put on a lot of various workshops as well, from graduate school to many other topics. And so please keep an eye out in your inbox. You should be getting a newsletter from us twice a week, and that's where we put all of our various upcoming workshops, announcements. Oftentimes, we're putting information about other schools who are having graduate school open houses or internships or full-time job announcements as well. So a lot of really great stuff in there. So any advice I can give is just read your emails. I know you get a lot, but it's super important. And I'm actually going to be staying afterwards, after the presentation, to answer any of your questions as well. But I'll go ahead and pass it back to you all, PAs.
Thank you so much, Carissa. So yes, they definitely, I applied to law school too. So they definitely helped me review my personal statement, my resume, and they just helped me refine it so well. I really, really highly suggest you guys go to them for that assistance. I also found my legal internship through a law panel that they had previously. So please keep an eye out for all events through your email. Yes, and if you're looking for internship opportunities too, SSARC has interns that they hire every year. So I believe it's every winter that they hire, but you could check that out on their webpage too, and you could get some skills there if you get accepted. Okay, let's just get into tips now. So Waylon, please move the slide. Or Samantha, I'm sorry. Okay, so first, let's talk about what majors can apply to law school. Any major can apply to law school. Some students are confused by this, but it's true. So no matter what school you're in, no matter what major you are, you can apply. Some popular ones are actually from within the School of Social Sciences. So that's like philosophy, political science, psychology. But popular majors does not mean it's ideal. There's not really an ideal major to try and get into law school. I would just say take the ones you're interested in genuinely, and just keep in mind what type of attorney that you're trying to become. So what will be useful for you in the future. So let's get to tip number 1.
Tip number 1 is planning a year in advance of when you will apply to law school. This means making an Excel sheet or document listing general dates and deadlines that you should keep in mind. This includes asking yourself when you need to take the LSAT, when you need to ask for letters of recommendation, when to apply for FAFSA, when applications open, and more. You can look up a general guideline of dates you should keep in mind by looking at past law school deadline web pages, and can sign up for the LSAT at lsac.org.
Okay, so before we get into law school application materials, let's quickly go over what's generally required to apply. And this includes, of course, your application, the LSAT GRE score, your personal statement, resume, official transcripts, and your letter of recommendation. Generally, 3 are required. Some may require 4, but that's like not too common. And the fourth one is usually optional. And then of course, sometimes you need additional material depending on your school. This could be like additional essays about yourself, additional documents besides like the personal statement, but it all depends on the law school that you apply to. Some may be mandatory and some are not.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, so now for tip number 2. When you want to create your graduate school portfolio, basically this will be a portfolio including your resume, unofficial transcripts, your personal statement, and information sheet of the law schools you plan on applying to. And you're probably wondering why you need to make this. And this is really because you need strong letters of recommendations for your application, and this could potentially give you a boost. Students usually create this portfolio to give to their recommenders once they've agreed to write a letter for them. It just really gives them more certainty and confidence of what to write about you. And the information sheet is really an Excel sheet that helps recommenders understand more about the law schools. Something to keep in mind is that your information sheet of law schools should include the school name, program, description of the school, the program's URL, and the date you need the letters by. And be ready because some professors may actually ask for it. And then one last thing to keep in mind about your graduate school portfolio is that having all these documents together will kind of help you be more prepared overall while applying, and you'll have an organized go-to sheet about all the law schools you're interested in.
Thank you, Sam. Now let's talk about tip number 3. Tip 3 is about be an all-rounder. This means to be a competitive applicant, not only through your LS score, but also GPA, but most importantly, your extracurriculars and work experience. It's true that law school regard your LST score and GPA highly, but your work experience and extracurriculars are a good indication of your passions and commitment to what you're trying to pursue in law school. Your resume can also catch their eye by showing off just how many skills you have to offer to the program. A potential way you could both build your skill and show your enthusiasm to pursue law is by trying to get a legal internship. It's a great way to try out different areas of law. If your application materials are also spot on, it's great. SSARC can also help you review your resume and personal statement, so make sure to check them out.
So it's time to write your personal statement, and it's time to get personal. It'll be difficult for some of you to look deep into yourself, so give yourself plenty of time to write. On the materials required for your law school application, so it takes a lot of effort. So what you should consider is to figure out exactly why you want to go to law school before writing the statement. Take time to understand yourself and your reasons to experience law school or get your JD or doctorate degree. This is your main part of your statement. So if you do not want to go to law school in the first place, your statements sound clunky and unorganized. While this may not fully guarantee your acceptance, this will definitely be something that helps it or breaks it. And what we would suggest is to actually think of the statement as an interview. Imagine that you're speaking with students and letting them know why you're choosing this path and what you can give to the school. Keep in mind that it's not just that need the school, but they also need you. Discuss what you can contribute to the school program and flaunt your skills.
To continue with the personal statement, you also need to think about the school itself. So do some detailed research on the schools you plan to apply to, and make sure to know this before writing up your personal statement. Try to make the statements tailored to each school to exemplify that you did your research. Remember, your statement needs to show your genuine interest in that particular school and that you are committed to the program by doing your research and spending time to get familiarized with them. It would also show that you know their values depending on how you write your statement. In general, your personal statement and how good, and to get to know why you want to pursue law, what you have to offer to the school, and how good of a fit you are with the school. If you have similar values and interests as what the program stands for and offers, that would be great to include as well.
So moving on to tip number 6 is just to keep refining your application materials. So a lot of students wonder like what else they can do to show off their professionalism or enthusiasm to apply for a particular school. And just following the application instructions and honing your materials can go a long way. Remember that your materials are a direct representation of you and your qualifications, your personality, and your professionalism. And admissions haven't like actually met you before, and so they're basing your whole character off of this application. So make sure to make it neat, keep it tidy, and make it clear to show admissions that you're more than just a statistic.
Great. Moving on to tip number 7, try to get your application and the materials ready by the first day applications open. This is because law school admissions tend to work on a rolling basis, which means that they will review the applications as they come in. How fast you submit your application could reflect your interest and your preparation for the program. But of course, don't submit your materials in your application if you're not ready. Don't rush, make sure everything is in order before you send that in. Also, be on the lookout for early decision deadlines, but be careful because if you get accepted for that early decision, you are bound to that school and cannot go somewhere else, even if you change your mind.
So tip number 8 is to keep in touch with admissions throughout your law school application process. This is to get your name out there, but only do so if you have genuine questions. You can do so by emailing, utilizing live chat if they have one, and attending events for prospective students run by admissions. You could email them, "Thank you for the event," within 24 hours of attending, and being respectful. Remember, they are not your friend. Address them professionally. This all shows your interest in the program and is a chance to display professionalism outside of your applications.
Okay, so tip number 9, be smart with your waitlist opportunity. So let's say you didn't get in, but you didn't get rejected either to the law school you want to go to, you got waitlisted. So some students actually get really bummed down by this and they think they're never going to get in. It's just the same as a rejection, but it's not true. A lot of law schools actually do take waitlisted applicants out and give them an acceptance later on. So there's actually, from the law schools I've talked to, there's no statistic that they gather on this. They gather so many stats on everything else, but this is just one of those things that it depends year by year. And that's only because if they take someone out of the waitlisted pool, that means that someone obviously who got accepted before didn't decide to go to that school, right? So they're trying to make up for that stat that that person who didn't decide to go kind of imbalanced out in the upcoming class, that they were trying to have that person fill out. So it really depends on who they need to fill that class out with from the waitlist pool. So some things you could do to show your interest that you're still interested in this school and this program specifically is that you could send in additional materials. So yes, more stuff to send in, hooray. So there's the LOCI. That's the letter of continued interest. So this is basically about a page long or so, and it lets admissions know something that you want to let them know before, but you just didn't have the space, or just didn't fit in before. Just let them know like why you want to go again, why you think you're a good fit for this school, why they would need you for this upcoming class, something you have to offer, and a lot of things you could tell them. And then you could also send in an updated resume. So if you've gotten a new job or a new internship, or you're doing more extracurriculars than the time you've submitted your application previously, you could send that in. Also, you could send in your updated official transcript. So if your grades have gone higher since you've last submitted your application, great, send that in. Or if you're maintain that constant academic standing and you're still good, then send that in. Like they want to see that you're still working hard, even though you're done with your application process, and that school isn't just, done with you, like done for you at the end. They want to know you're hardworking. And then there's also additional letters of recommendation that you could send in. So this depends by school too. For instance, if you didn't send in the max number of letters of recommendation you could have when you turned in your application, you could definitely send in another one. But if you've already submitted the max amount before, then sometimes law schools say, okay, you can't send in another one when you're waitlisted, but some say you can. So make sure you ask your individual admissions processes. Okay, last tip is to be persistent. I know this is kind of cliche, okay, but I realized this is really important as I was going through my own law school applications. And it's because it's a really long journey, like everything else in life. I'm sure a lot of you guys are burnt out from COVID and from quarantine and a lot of other things. And this is just one of those journeys that will burn you out sometimes, and you need to get back up and get at it again. So make sure you plan for it like you would a physical road trip, take breaks, eat, stay hydrated, be in good company, make sure, you know, your mental health is in good shape too. And hard work always pays off. I think for me, sometimes I felt like, you know, why am I doing all this work? Like, it's really difficult. And I actually did my application during the school year and over the summer. So it was a lot more pressure on me than I anticipated at first. But once you get used to it, it's totally fine. And you realize, you know, once you get your acceptances or waitlist, it was totally worth it. And you're really happy. And then you reap what you sow. So stay on top of it and look ahead. Don't try to feel down, and definitely don't compare your law school application process with other people. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've heard, like from my coworkers in the legal field and people who are just applying in general. They say they compare their journey to everyone else's and they think, oh, their score was higher or their GPA was higher. Oh, their personal statement sounded better. But don't worry, admissions takes everything into consideration, and they will definitely take all of your efforts into consideration. Okay, so we definitely have enough time to go through these. So I saw on the RSVP form that a lot of you had popular questions. So these are the slides that where I decided to answer some of them. So a lot of you had questions about popular prep courses for the LSAT. Some that I've heard is Blueprint Prep, Kaplan, LSAT Max. I personally took Blueprint Prep because the attorney I was interning under took it himself, and his score got up really high. So I decided to try it. It's very good. I would say LSAT Max is more like people who can sit down and study for long periods of time. I thought I could do that, but then I saw some of their videos and I was like, this is very intense, which is good, but not for me. So I tried Blueprint Prep, and they're very, very short, few-minute videos, and they have like pictures and stuff. So, you know, your visual field ain't bored or anything. So, you know, pops of color. So I think the prep course really depends on you. They're all good though. And also, Carissa mentioned Princeton Review. So if you want to use the code, you can too. And then I would honestly say, personally, on average, prep courses are like $1,200 on average. But I would just say, you know, some are below that and some are higher. And that's because there's different types of prep courses. There's not just one. So for instance, there's like online version where you could just take at your own pace. And then there's another online version where you actually meet with an instructor and your classmates at a specific date and time. There's also personalized tutoring, which is definitely why it's like some costs are up there, but you don't need that. I didn't use it and I was fine. And then there was like questions about how long you should be studying for the LSAT. I would just say study 3 months at least, but please, that's like the bare minimum. So I would really say study as long as you can. Like you should start studying right now if you're like a freshman, and you would not be overdoing it at all. And that's just because when I first saw the LSAT, I thought it's all English. I'll be totally fine. I was totally wrong. It's like a whole new language, and there's like specific formulas, honestly, that you can memorize to try and beat this LSAT. And there's a lot of different methods you could try, and they all depend on how your brain works. So you really need to test them all out. So make sure you give yourself enough time to study. Also, it's $200 per test. So yeah, make sure you're prepared. Also finances. I put that sticker there because, you know, I looked at my finances for this and I realized it was quite hefty. So, okay, like I already mentioned, prep course is around $1,200, application fee per school. So when you're turning in your application, law school application for each school, this is the cost for around each one that you send in, not all together, each one. So I actually didn't have to pay an application fee because they dropped it this time around, but I looked it up and I think it's around $60. So yeah, and then the report fee is basically the fee that LSAC fines you for generating the law school report to the law school that you're interested in. That's $45. And students were interested in scholarships. So how do you get money? Basically, the higher your LSAT and the higher your GPA, the higher the amount of scholarships you can particularly like potentially get. That's why people say study for the LSAT, you know, a good amount of time, because not only do you not want to repay for your LSAT again, you really just want to get some good amount of money, a good amount of cash for, you know, your law school journey. It's a lot of money. So yeah, that's that. And then some wondered about scholarships in general. So actually, when you're admitted into a school, the law school sometimes sends out emails to you saying, oh, there's a scholarship you can sign up for like public interest or public service, for example, if you're interested in that route. And we will review your application and stuff like that. So you can sign up for those. Make sure you look up what scholarships that the school offers. It differs for each one. Okay, this is a very popular question. Say it with me, everyone. Say it with me. Gap year is fine. It is totally fine. Like, you are fine. So of course, some people need a gap year. I would say, honestly, after not taking a gap year, I am burnt out and tired. So it gives you time to study the LSAT. It gives you time to prepare for your applications, but you should do an internship or work is what I personally heard, okay? It's what I heard from the 20s I've worked under or the people I've been working with, like during my legal internship time. And I think it's just because admissions just wants to see like you made use of that time. And I think it's something you should be doing anyway too, personally, because it is a lot of time, you know. I don't think students have to spend all that time in the year just studying. It's good to get your feet wet and out there and get that experience in. It's also good to be able to write something on your resume. And then make sure to keep yourself accountable during this time if you do decide to take a gap year. And I only say this because it's easy to lose track of all the time that's going by when you have a lot. Like, I personally feel like if I have less time, then I am very like on the dot because I know I have less time to finish these things. But when there's more time, you know, you kind of lose track. So some people also wonder like what could be like a bad thing about taking a gap year. And I wouldn't really say there's like a bad thing. The only thing I could think about is that you may not receive the LSAT score you wanted after taking that gap year studying, and then you may have to take an additional time off to study even more and get the LSAT score you wanted. But that depends on you. Okay, so it's time for Q&A. We finished actually very early, so Waylon, are there any questions?
Yeah, so first off, I'll questions that were answered, just so everyone knows them, but feel free to keep asking your questions. I'll go to the first one. Will we be recording of this meeting? And is the YouTube channel UI School? And just as said, we are recording and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. Both Stella and Carissa have shown great links of where you can find videos and resources. The YouTube channel this would be posted on is at UC Social Sciences Undergraduate Student Affairs. And SSARC also has their own YouTube channel that you can check workshops, and it's called UCI SSARC. The next question, do we need to take the LSAT and GRE? And some law schools have GRE, but most will require the LSAT. And as Carissa said, please check their of the program. Our next question is, how much is the LSAT and can you retake it together?
Yes, so it seems like someone else already answered that, so that's correct, $200, but that is including the LSAT writing. So if you've taken LSAT writing already, I don't think you need to pay $200 again, you just need to pay for the test, but you'll have to ask them that. You have to ask LSAT that, sorry. And then another question, can you retake it to get a better score? Yes, so if you did not get the desired score you wanted for LSAT the first time around, then you can retake it again. I don't know if there's a limit, but I heard that you should not be taking it after like your third time. I feel like once you've hit your third test, you shouldn't be retaking again. It just doesn't look good to admissions, you know? So make sure you make every test count and don't go to take your first LSAT thinking that's your practice test. Do not waste your money and do not waste that valuable one test out of the 3 that you should be taking on a practice. If you want a practice test, please just find one online. There are many out there and you can just see where you are from there.
So our next question is, what is LSAT writing?
Okay, so LSAT writing, so there's, I guess essentially 2 parts to the LSAT. So there's the LSAT itself, which is the multiple choice and all that. And then the second part is the LSAT writing. So it's essentially just they give you a prompt and they give you a reading and then you just write about it. Like they give you a question based on a situation or a scenario and you just write about it based on what the prompt is asking you. And honestly, out of the people that I've talked to, no one studies for this. So I wouldn't be too worried about it if I were you. I would just make sure I know exactly what the layout will be. And you should just keep in mind like some methods people use in LSAT writing, but it's typically not something you spend a lot of time on unless you want to. It's not that serious, honestly, in my opinion. I've looked it up and it says some admissions, like most admissions don't really take the LSAT writing too much into account compared to the LSAT itself.
So our next question is it true that law schools consider a pass in a pass or no pass class a C when considering your transcript and GPA?
I honestly don't know about that, but I believe this kind of question was on the RSVP form too. I would just say don't take too many pass no passes, because just putting myself in their shoes, if you just see a lot of pass no passes, you would think the worst case scenario, right? Of the student like who's taking that class, like, oh, it seems like they were going to fail or about to fail if they took a pass no pass. So I wouldn't really take many if possible. I don't know if they consider it a C, but if you were gonna get a C in that class, then would you take the pass no pass versus if you were gonna fail?
So the next is, when would be time to ask for letters of recommendation?
Yeah, so this depends too. So some people actually, like if they find a professor or supervisor they really like and they don't want them to forget them and how much they've talked to them and stuff, then you can ask them real nicely, of course, like, oh, I'm planning to apply to law school or grad school. Would you be willing to write me a letter of recommendation and keep it on file, is what I've heard. But I would just say like, yeah, you could do that. Or if your time is coming up, and your time with the professor is about to end, you could be like, oh, could you write me a letter of recommendation? Like, I need it because it's coming up. I guess you're asking about the timeline more like, so you have to give professors or supervisors at least 6 weeks in advance, like from the time you need or want your letter of recommendation by. And that's just because that's proper éthique and you don't want to make them feel rushed. So you have to give them 6 weeks at least in advance to write that letter. So I hope that answers your question, but there's no right or wrong time to ask them at all.
Next question is, during a gap year, when is it time to take the LSAT and then apply for law school?
So I didn't take a gap year, but I would just say do it like as if you're not taking a gap year. So what I mean by that is just make sure, like, keep checking periodically LSAT's website, because that's where you will be signing up for your LSAT. And also they post all the official LSAT, upcoming LSAT dates for that year on the website. So just keep checking that. I personally called into LSAC and asked them like, oh, when do you think it'll be coming up this year? Like, do you have any hint about that? And some would actually tell me like, oh, it's around like October or something like that. And I just kept my eyes peeled, I just kept checking the website to see when the list of the dates would come out for when the tests would be offered that year. And I would honestly just plan based on that. As for applying for law school, that depends on you, right? So if you're interested in applying for a certain year for law school, then you could email to admissions for that school you're interested in, like, oh, I'm planning to apply for this year. When do you think is the last LSAT that you're willing to take? Like the last LSAT, like October LSAT, like September LSAT, like when do you think it'll be? And they'll be able to answer you. So you're gonna have to ask around a little.
Just wanted to say thank you everyone for all these amazing questions.
Yes,
But I
thank
will go on to the next one. So in the previous slide, it recommended work during your gap year. Is there like a range of jobs that could make like a competitive applicant? For instance, do I look solely for law-related jobs?
Yeah, so I would say if you haven't tried a law-related job before or an internship before, definitely look into it and try it out. And I only say this not just for your application, but because we don't have any pre-law experience, like, right? Like there's no class for this stuff. There's no like person just coming up to you and being like, oh, so there's like this area of law and this area of law, right? But there's just so many areas of law that it's just really, it's a good idea to just get a feel for what what areas are actually out there and be able to interact with that professional environment just to make sure you're actually like gonna be happy when you get to law school and like it's what you're expecting. But you can do other jobs, like you don't have to just do law related things. Every job has their own skill, and it's just how you portray it and write it out on your resume. I think that's important. I mean, obviously don't lie, but I mean, a job is a job and every job requires a skill. So, you know, like communication related jobs, writing jobs, like something like that would be good too, because law schools are looking for those skills.
So our next question is, when is the LSAT and how many times is it offered per year?
See, I feel like I should know that, know that answer. I think I pushed in the back of my mind. Man, I would really just say check the lsac.org website, lsac.org. I don't remember if they offer the LSAT the same months every year. I really don't. Sorry for that. But you could definitely check the website. And if the upcoming year's tests aren't out yet, you could give LSAC a call and maybe they'll have some idea of the people working there. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Can you get letters of recommendation from people who aren't professors or advisors?
That's a very good question. I just based my letters of recommendation off of the LSAC website. Everyone, read the LSAC website, please. I'm sure some of you have, but some of you who haven't yet, make sure you check it out because all that information is on there. I based my letters off of what the website said. So the website basically said people get letters from professors and work supervisors, and that's who I got them off of. I don't know if you can get letters from anyone else. So that's something you can also ask email admissions for, just in case each school is different, you know? So yeah.
So just wanted to mention that Estella graciously gave us the LSAT website with the deadline, so check that out. We'll move on to the next question. So can you tell us about your internship experience?
Oh yeah, okay. I'm going to, do you mean like my legal experience or do you just mean my internships in general? Oh, okay, my legal experience. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, thank you for a smiley face. Yeah, so like I said, I found my legal internship based off of a law panel that SSARC was holding one year. And a lot of attorneys just came and they were just talking about their experience as attorneys, and they're just passing their cards around for where they work and where they're looking for interns. So I contacted one and they said, okay, you're in. And then, yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was kind of expecting, you know, like a harsh, strict world. That's what I was expecting. But it was very nice. Obviously, it was very, how should I say this without like a negative connotation? Because it really wasn't. Like, it was very fast. It was a very fast experience. Everything had to be done very fast. I saw the next question. Everything has to be done very fast. And you have to be very good with your time, and they expect you to get your stuff done at the time they need it by, you know, so no dilly-dallying, but it was a really good experience. Like you get to talk to, like the one I worked at, you got to talk to the clients. I was able to do client interviews, which was amazing. I was able to hear actual phone calls, like because I am an intern there, it was allowed. You get to open some case files and be able to keep recordings of what happened, updating about that client. I actually got to write a case brief, which was a 13-page one. So it was for a client needing to bring some materials to court. I cannot say what it was about. And it was wonderful. Like the attorney who was technically in charge of me, I guess, at the time in the case, he taught me how to write. He taught me like how to talk with the client over the phone. Like he gave me really good tips on how to improve the case brief I was writing. You really get a feel of like what this work is going to be about. And yeah, you can ask for a letter of recommendation from them too, because especially if it's an attorney who you've been working closely with, I would consider that like a work supervisor kind of thing. So yeah, they could be a good person representing like how you worked in that kind of legal profession, and then relay that to admissions. I hope that helped a little bit.
So on to the next question. You describe the LSAT test format. How long is it, online or in person? Similar to like the ACT or the SAT?
Oh wait, was that sent to you personally? Oh, wait, could you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah. Can you describe the LSAT test format, such as how long is it? Is it online or in person? And is it similar to like ACT or
Sorry, you cut off. Is it similar to a
ACT or SAT?
okay. I never took the ACT, but yes, I took the SAT. I would say in terms of like time sections, yes, it's similar, but it's not similar to the SAT in the sense that it's not something that you can't study for and go into. SAT, I feel like is more like an accumulation of what you've learned throughout the years in school. So you can, for math and reading and stuff like that, it's just like testing to see like what you've learned and kept. But for the LSAT, it's like nothing you've learned before. Like even if you're like an English major or something, it's nothing you've like ever learned before, I'm pretty sure, because they're testing you for something that schools have never asked people to look for before, like look into before. It's like a whole new course. I believe the sections are around 35 minutes time. I am so sorry if I'm wrong. I think it was traumatizing, it burnt me out and I like pushed it back. I took the October 2020 exam. Yeah, so make sure I'm right, but I took the LSAT Flex, so it was actually online, it was not in person, and it was actually shorter than the actual physical in-person exam that it would have been. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I would just say, there's reading comprehension, there's the logic games, and then there's like logical reasoning and all that stuff, so it is put into sections just like the SAT, and you will have to study those sections individually.
So the next question is, where did you go to law school? Which I think they mean, where are you going?
So I actually have not fully decided yet. So I will definitely be going in fall 2021, but I cannot say because, I myself haven't made the full decision yet. So I mean, maybe contact me in the future and be like, where did you get into, but for now, I'm just looking into housing and just compiling up the costs.
This question is, should I look for paid over unpaid, and which is better?
Unpaid. Okay, so that's a very good question. So personally, my friends, when I talk to them about legal internships, in the past, they were like, oh, this job is not paid. I am not going to this one. And my legal internship was actually unpaid. And it is, I think out of all the internships, not just legal, but out of all the internships I've talked to with my friends, like everyone else would say for theirs was always paid. So they would always be like, oh, like I just get coffee or like I print things and like I do some stuff, I talk to them, but I don't really feel like I'm engaging in work. And I was really surprised because I thought if they're getting paid, they would for sure be doing something like really like engaging, for them, and they'd be learning something from it. But that wasn't always the case. I'm sure there are paid internships where you do have engaging work, you're getting paid for it, but not all of them are like that. I would just say personally, maybe I'm biased, but in unpaid situations, like mine was a nonprofit organization. So yeah, I learned a lot. I think it's just because in nonprofits and stuff and unpaid situations, they really need the people to volunteer and they really just need people staffed up in general to work there and get stuff done. They can't sit around at all. So I think, I think both have their benefits, paid or unpaid, but just don't be picky. Just make sure it actually will give you work that you'd be interested in, that you'll be gaining skills from it. Yeah, and if you're looking for, a first-time job, you're not sure what to do and you're looking for skills, go be a SSARC intern. So I can say that's where I started off and I got so much skill from it, like so much office skill, like no one could have taught me better.
So Carissa also put a link in the chat on how you can receive academic credit for unpaid and paid internships. Science is 197, so check that out as well. Move on to the next question. Do law schools have Postbachelorette program uplift your UCI transcript?
Does anyone else understand the question? Maybe they can. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can go ahead and try to answer this one, Christine.
Thank you.
So not really technically any legal law school specific post-bac programs. I mean, there are post-bac programs that exist that you can certainly do. A lot of students end up pursuing a master's program before they actually go into law school, like another master's program. So it just depends on if you're ready just to pursue law school, or you feel like I'd like to pursue other things before applying to law school, whether that's another master's program or if it's just work experience. But in terms of uplifting your transcript and things that you can do, ultimately, it kind of just comes down not only to your transcript and your GPA, but what's on your curriculum vitae or your resume, your LSAT score, the application in general, the letter of recommendation, and your essays, your personal statement or statement of purpose. That's ultimately what's going to uplift your application as a whole. And just friendly reminder that it is a very much a holistic review. So they're not so much, on the GPA, and that's the most important thing. It is very important, but it's not the only important thing. So something to kind of consider, but it's just a matter of, it doesn't have to be that you're involved in like 20 different things, but more of the quality of the things that you're involved in and how passionate you are and what have you contributed to those opportunities. This really shows that you're engaged in your program, you're engaged in your school, university, and you can be engaged as part of that cohort for that law school and contribute just as much, if not more. So hopefully that helps.
Before we go on, I was wondering if Estella could stop the recording in case there is like someone who wants to ask a more personal question. I'm not sure if they would, but.
What I suggest doing now is communicating with your professor, maybe going to their office hours or scheduling a meeting with them, letting them know that you have this interest in going into law school, maybe chatting about their experience, maybe they went to law school, who knows. And then that way you can let them know of that you're intending to do this. And then of course, ask them later down the line when it's time to start applying. And then it's just a matter of maintaining that relationship during your time between the time that you graduate and when you're ready to apply for law school. So I wouldn't ask them now because there's going to be a lot of different gaps in between in terms of your experiences that they may want to integrate into the letter. And of course, they also need to create the letter and be very specific about why you're a great fit for UCLA Law, for example, or somewhere else. So hopefully that helps you out, Jacqueline.
Is somebody recording the session?